Oh, this episode is about a very sad and tragic case from a small town of Idaho. On Sunday, June 15th, 2023, at about 7:20 p.m., Kellogg, Idaho police responded to reports of shots fired at a duplex at 515 West Brown Avenue. A few minutes later, another call came in to dispatch with the caller saying, quote, "I just executed a effing pedophile and his family." Dispatch was able to confirm with him that he shot 4 people and that they were all dead. "Yes, I shot 4 people," he said. Officers arrived at the duplex to find Kenneth Gardippy, 65, and his daughter Kenna Gardippy, 41, dead outside their ground floor apartment with gunshot wounds to their temples. Kenna's son, 16-year-old Aiken Smith, was found inside the home with a gunshot wound to his temple. Her other son, 18-year-old Devin Smith, was found behind a bedroom door on his knees face down with multiple gunshot wounds to his head. All the victims were shot at close range. The family had just moved in to the duplex where they were killed. Welcome to another episode of Mountain Standard True Crime. This episode is about an unhinged vigilante taking the law into his own hands. It contains content that might be disturbing for some, and it is definitely not appropriate for children. Here we go. Kellogg is a city in the Silver Valley of Shoshone or Shoshone, depending on how you pronounce it, County, Idaho, in the Idaho Panhandle region of the United States. It lies near the Coeur d'Alene National Forest and about 36 miles southeast of Coeur d'Alene along Interstate 90. As of the 2010 United States Census, the city had a total population of 2,120, down by a third from its population in 1980. Kellogg is named after a prospector named Noah Kellogg. The city became a center of mining operations for silver. For nearly a century, it produced an extensive amount of silver. There was also a history of disputes between union miners and mine owners as workers tried to improve their conditions, including wages and safety conditions. With declining yield, the Bunker Hill mine and smelter closed in 1981. Thousands lost their jobs, and the mining operations resulted in regional lead contamination of water and soil. Other mines reduced operations as well. Since the mines closed, Kellogg has been developing as a resort town to take advantage of its mountains for skiing and other activities. On Sunday, June 15th, 2023, at about 7:20 p.m., Kellogg police responded to reports of shots fired at a duplex at 515 West Brown Avenue. A few minutes later, another call came in to dispatch with the caller saying, "I just executed a effing pedophile and his family." And dispatch was able to confirm that he had shot 4 people and they were all dead. Officers arrived at the duplex to find Kenneth Gardippy, 65, and his daughter, Kenna Gardippy, 41, dead outside their ground floor duplex with gunshot wounds to their temples. Kenna's son, 16-year-old Aiken Smith, was found inside the home with a gunshot wound to his temple. Her other son, 18-year-old Devin Smith, was found behind a bedroom door on his knees, face down with multiple gunshot wounds to his head. All the victims were shot at close range. The family had just moved into the duplex where they were killed. Investigators found a .45 caliber high-point semi-automatic pistol in what appeared to be blood on it in a truck parked in the duplex's driveway. Based on the number of empty shell casings found at the scene, investigators wrote in court documents it's likely the killer had to change or reload magazines to discharge the number of rounds found at the scene. 31-year-old Major John Kaler, the man who confessed to the murders by calling 911 and reporting what he had done, was arrested following the shooting and booked into the Shoshone County Jail. Kaler and his family lived upstairs in the duplex shared with the victims. Kaler told police he, quote, snapped after Devin Smith exposed himself to his young children. A few days earlier, Kaler's wife, Kaylee Kaler, posted on Facebook that 18-year-old Devin Smith had exposed himself to her young daughters on June 13th. She also said he could be seen through a window masturbating in view of her and their young daughters, who were playing outside, according to court documents. Kaylee said they reported the incident to police, who investigated. There are no court records indicating Devin Smith was charged with a crime related to the alleged incident. Quote, "We responded to the call, investigated the call, and the report was done that day and submitted to the prosecutor's office for charges," Kellogg Police Chief Paul Twite said. "I stand by what my officer did, and he did everything he could at the time. Nobody could have foreseen anything like this." The police department recommended that Smith be charged with indecent exposure, a misdemeanor, Twite said, and the prosecutor's office told the officer the charge would be filed. There was no record of the charge in the online court system on Tuesday, however, which could mean that Smith had not yet been served with the formal charges before he died, or that the case had not yet been made public for another reason. Devin Smith had recently graduated from Kellogg High School and struggled with a learning disability and social cues, according to a family friend. He had worked hard to move past his issues, she said. A classmate of Smith's, Daisy Sawyer, said he had harassed her at school and was known to be inappropriate. Kaler told police that Devin Smith had been acting suspiciously and watching his kids, according to the criminal complaint. He told police he complained to the mother and grandfather, and they didn't seem to take his accusations seriously enough. It was Kaler's allegation that Devin Smith had exposed himself to his wife and children through a window at least 3 times. He said the cops were called twice, but nothing was ever done about it. During his last report of the incidents, Kaler told police, quote, "If something happens again, I'm not going to call you guys," end quote. Video surveillance from a nearby business showed that on June 15th, just a few days later, Kaler could be seen looking around the duplex, then the argument and subsequent shootings. Kaylee Kaler, Major John's wife's account of the incident was similar to that of her husband's. She saw the argument, then heard gunshots before Kenneth and Kenneth Gardippi dropped to the ground. She ran upstairs to her apartment and heard more shots, she told police. Kaylee told police that her husband said he did what he had to, and to tell the kids that their dad protected them. By Tuesday, 2 days after the murders, dozens of flowers, balloons, photos, and signs were displayed on the front lawn of the duplex, while friends, neighbors, and family members were observed comforting each other with hugs. By all accounts, the community had welcomed the Gardippi-Smith family with open arms and shared positive things about them following their murders. Kenna Gardippi was super sweet and kind-hearted, said Katie James, a longtime family friend. Kenna worked in the kitchen at Mountain Valley of Cascadia, an assisted living facility across the street from the duplex where they lived. Marissa Anderson, who worked with Gardippi, said she was very strong-willed and hardworking. On tough days, Gardippi was a bright light to her coworkers. She'd always give me a hug and say it will get better, Anderson said. When Gardippi wasn't at work, she was outside, her coworkers said. The family loved biking and skiing. Gardippi was a dedicated mother, said Lori Shireman, a lifelong family friend. She said of Kenna, she raised them boys on her own with her dad's help and was a dedicated mother. Another friend said that Aiken Smith, her younger son, was a super good kid and that he found community and purpose in the junior ROTC program. He was very dedicated, she said. He was committed to the Air Force, and it was his dream to do that. The family's upstairs neighbors quickly got into conflict with the Gardippis, James said, after they had moved in. Still, it was a shock to hear they had been killed. Kenneth Kenny Gardippi had recently had a heart attack, one of the friends said, but was on the road to recovery. His daughter and grandkids were the light of his life, she added. The charging documents alleged the shootings of the 2 oldest victims were premeditated and or to execute vengeance. The other killings were allegedly premeditated to executive vengeance and or committed in the perpetration of burglary, according to the charging documents. Under Idaho law, it is considered burglary to enter a house, room, or apartment with the intent to commit a felony such as murder. Court records, including an affidavit completed in June by police detailing the circumstances of Kaler's arrest, report that Kaler returned home from work on Father's Day, got out of his vehicle, and walked around the Brown Street duplex where Kaler and the victims lived. Kaler was captured by surveillance cameras walking around the parking lot of Mountain Valley of Cascadia, where victim Kenna Gardipi worked, and then ducking behind a trailer that was parked outside of the residence while appearing to view the shared backyard space. Once he decided to enter his home, he went to the backyard where the fatal confrontation began. According to the police affidavit, Kaler armed himself prior to exiting his vehicle, and once the argument began, he reportedly snapped and opened fire on the Gardipis in the backyard before breaking into the first-floor residence and carrying out the final 2 killings of the children. All 4 victims were shot point-blank or near point-blank in the head, except for Devin Smith, who was shot multiple times at close range. Major John Kaler had his first court appearance on Tuesday, June 20th, 2023, in a Wallace, Idaho courtroom. He sat next to his defense attorney, Lisa Cheesebro. Shoshone County Municipal Court Judge Keisha Oxendine read out the 5 charges against Kaler, which include 1 count of burglary for entering the Gardipi home, as well as the 4 murder charges. Judge Oxendine remanded Kaler into custody at the Shoshone County Jail without bail. During court proceedings, Judge Duggan said that on June 18th, Kaler shot Kenna in the hand, torso, and temple, shot Kenneth in the torso and head, and then Kaler entered the home and shot Aiken in his back and temple. Devin was shot 4 times. Prosecutors say Kaler shot and killed his neighbors, including a child, on that Sunday evening. Prosecutor Benjamin Allen said Kaler confessed to the shooting when interviewed by police. Admissions were ultimately made to the offenses charged, Allen said. Kaler told police he snapped and did something about it after Devin Smith allegedly exposed himself to Kaler's wife and children through a window, court documents said. Investigators said they had earlier recommended misdemeanor charges against Smith, but prosecutors had not filed the criminal case when he was killed. Kaler had a, quote, sparse and sporadic criminal history, end quote, with a handful of misdemeanor driving infractions. He also had 1 drug possession case that he pleaded down to a misdemeanor, Allen said. Kaler works at a local mine, Allen said. He has lived in Shoshone County his whole life and has a nonviolent criminal history. Kaler's public defender said before deferring argument over his bond if convicted that Kaler could face the death penalty. He is being held without bond. He was being held without bond and had not yet entered a plea. 3 months later, in September, Kaler pleaded guilty to all charges. But then, on Tuesday, November 28th, Kaler waived his right to a speedy trial, vacating his trial originally set to begin in January 2024. District Judge Barbara Duggan ordered the mediation after Shoshone County Prosecutor Ben Allen and defense attorney Christopher Schwartz agreed that it would be in the best interests of justice and judicial efficiency that the case attempt to seek a resolution outside of the courtroom. As part of the mediation, adjudicated by retired District Judge Jay Gaskill, stipulated that all 4 counts of first-degree murder be reduced to second-degree and that the felony burglary charge be dropped. This was agreed to by the prosecution, the defense, and also by family members of the victims, 8 of whom signed off on the agreement. In December, Major John Kaler pleaded guilty to 4 counts of second-degree murder during a change of plea hearing at Shoshone County Courthouse. During the sentencing hearing on March 26, 2024, Kaler's attorney argued that he had come from an extremely abusive family but had risen above, avoiding drug addiction or repeated criminal activity, instead working hard to create a family of his own. Kaler's public attorney argued that the government failed Kaler and his family. The attorney claimed Kaler reported what Devin Smith was allegedly doing to police, but nothing was ever done. Kaler asked to at least have a chance at parole. Prosecutors pointed to how horrific the shootings were, with at least 3 of the family members having muzzle burns on their temples. They argued that the crime was so extreme and severe that Kaler should be sentenced to 50 years in prison. Judge Duggan found that the Kalers had only reported Devin Smith once to the police, who had investigated. She noted that at that time, Kaler told police he would take things into his own hands if he felt he needed to. Following that statement, he killed all of them. Mr. Kaler knows he violated the law, and it doesn't mean that this was premeditated, Kaler's attorney said. Ben Allen, Shoshone County prosecuting attorney, requested 50 years fixed. Kaler's attorney requested that the judge allow Kaler out on parole. Family members of the victim's family gave impact statements directed to the judge and Kaler himself. Words will never describe the loneliness I feel daily. All of us have had our lives changed to grief, Russell Gardipi, a family member, said. We lost 3 generations. That is really sad. 3 generations in a matter of minutes. I haven't seen, heard, or touched my kids in 9 months. I can't sleep, Jerry Silva, the mother of victim Kenna Gardipi, said. The event is a particular heinous event. You've taken 4 individuals from this community based on your decision, Shoshone County District Court Judge Barbara Duggan said to Kaler. He killed an entire branch of our family tree. Never any great-grandchildren to watch grow up. I lost my best friend returning to Aiken. He spent hundreds of hours volunteering throughout the community. An entire beautiful family taken by one person, David Silva, grandfather to Aiken and Devin, said. You said you were protecting your children, but who's protecting them now? You're nothing but a 2-bit killer. Not only did you destroy my family, but yours as well, Joe Gardipi, a family member, said. They were hoping the government would provide some type of a solution, but they never did, the grandfather Kenneth said. If he, meaning Devin, wanted to hurt your kids, he could. Jolene Sharp addressed the judge, saying, there are no words to describe these senseless murders. A good father would never murder, let alone an entire family. A good father would not take justice into his own hands. A good father would not leave their children without a father. A good father would not leave his children to defend his actions in a small community. There are many good attributes to being a good father, but Your Honor, he doesn't have any of them. Joe Gardipi, Ken's brother, addressed Kaler, saying, what you did that day was well beyond the sanity of a normal human. You decided to be judge and jury. You decided to play God. He described Kenna Gardipi as a hard-working single mother who was protective of her sons. She fostered a love of the outdoors and her boys, taking them camping, huckleberry picking, and skiing. Ken Gardipi was enjoying his retirement and spending time with his grandsons while recovering from a heart attack. Aiken was working hard in junior ROTC and had dreams of making the military his career. Devin Smith had some mental issues, but was being supported by his family as he figured out his next steps, his uncle said. Silva's wife and Kenna Gardipi's mother, Jerry Lynn Silva, detailed her struggle to get through these last few months without her daughter and grandsons. I have bad times all day, every day, she said. Cheryl Gardipi, Ken Gardipi's sister, made a similar statement. My trust in humanity has been challenged, she said. I can only imagine that. Everyone who spoke asked that Kaler receive the maximum sentence. It was reported that gasps rang through the packed courtroom on that Monday as Kaler was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, which seems like a fitting sentence to me. After the sentencing, his wife took to Facebook and posted the following. My heart breaks for my children. It's so unfair the things they have already been through and lost. I know it's going to be a lifelong thing, and trust me, some days are harder than others, but when I look at them and see their smiles and resilience even after a hard day, I know that they are going to be okay. They feel so much and are so sad sometimes, but I watch them get through those emotions and become stronger in more ways than one. It's not what it's supposed to be at all, but we are all going to do our best to give them the life they deserve. Let them know that none of this is their fault and they don't deserve any of this. I would do anything to take away their sadness and give them their life back. All we can do is move forward without letting the horror that happened change us in the worst ways. They have been here for me and seen me fight through so much pain and emotion, and I for them, and we are going to be there for each other forever. I will never give up on them or our family. They are so strong, kind, empathetic, and just plain good, and I'm so proud of them. I'm so proud to be their mom. I don't take 1 second of being a parent for granted. I love these 3 with my whole heart. This is a very sad and tragic ending for 2 families. The many friends, neighbors, coworkers, and family members now mourn the loss of the 4 Gardipi Smith family members who were tragically murdered at the hands of a vigilante taking matters into his own hands. And the Kaler family now mourns the loss of the family that once was, as the husband and father of 3 is now in prison for the rest of his life. I feel for the Kaler children who have to grapple with the fact that their dad is a murderer. People can be really cruel in situations like this, and we already know that it's a small town, and I can't imagine some of the things that they've had to go through. I hope that they have the support that they need to deal with this horrible scenario that now is their life, and that they're getting some help and some treatment and some therapy, and that they'll be able to move on and have successful lives. This episode is dedicated to the memory of 65-year-old Kenneth Gardipi, his 41-year-old daughter Kenna, Kenna's 16-year-old son Aiken, and her other son, 18-year-old Devin Smith. Such a sad, reckless tragedy. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also follow us on Spotify. We would love if you would share. There are true crime fans everywhere. Until the next episode, please be aware of your surroundings, stay safe, and take care of yourselves.